Hi, welcome to the presentation of our paper on online privacy. My name is Shyam Sundar, and I'm presenting this paper on behalf of my co-authors, Jinyoung Kim, Beth Rosson, and Maria Molina, all from Penn State. In this paper, we study the role played by cues on media interfaces that influence our online information disclosure. We have known for some time that our privacy attitudes are malleable and that cues in the context can sometimes shape how much we disclose. For example, we disclose more intimate details about ourselves in a warm room with soft lighting compared to a cold room with fluorescent lighting. One study found that survey respondents were more likely to admit to even incriminating behaviors when the interface featured a cartoon image of a devil asking with a wicked smile, "How bad are you?" compared to the one featuring an emblem of Carnegie Mellon University ostensibly conducting an executive council survey on ethical behavior. The interface on the left that you see was designed to look unprofessional, whereas the one on the right was designed to appear professional. But we think there's more to it than just the professionalism of the design. There is a logic underlying why people might have disclosed more in the unprofessional site, because it seems like there might be a lack of accountability in that site, and that lack of accountability would mean that they can be more open with their disclosure. This kind of quick logic is what we call cognitive heuristic. More generally, we think users disclose information based on cognitive heuristics or mental shortcuts, that is, rules of thumb, often triggered by contextual cues in the situation or on the interface. So we set out to identify key heuristics in 3 different privacy contexts identified in the literature. I will touch upon a couple of examples under each context. First, in the social context, we have the authority heuristic. If we come across a credible authority on the interface, we are likely to think that our private information is safe on that site, thus making us disclose more personal information. Like when we see a FDIC logo on a bank website, we think our account information is safe and proceed to reveal our social security number and other such personal information. Another heuristic in the social context is the bandwagon heuristic, which is the idea that if others, especially peers, have disclosed their private information, then it is safe for me to do so as well, kind of like herd behavior. In the personal context, we have the control heuristic, which is the mental shortcut that if a site gives me control over my privacy settings, then it must be safe to disclose to that site. Another one in the personal context is the instant gratification heuristic, which privileges immediacy over delayed gratification. People have been known to part with important personal information in exchange for time-sensitive deals. Examples of heuristics in the technological context include the transparency heuristic. Just the good faith attempt to make terms and conditions on a site is sufficient to assure some users of the credibility of that site or an app. And the machine heuristic, on which we had a whole paper at CHI 2019. If you identify machine as your data handler, then users apply their stereotypes about machines to judge credibility, that they are accurate, efficient, unlikely to gossip with others based on personal information. So for example, we might gossip based on personal information with humans, but machines will never do that. That's at least the stereotype we associate with machines. So we apply these kinds of stereotypes, and we considered 12 such heuristics in the study altogether. We set out to determine if these heuristics could indeed be driving our privacy decision-making by conducting a survey of 786 US adults, in which we provided 12 scenarios, with each one featuring a distinct cue designed to trigger one of the 12 heuristics. Here are some examples of scenarios. As you can see on the left, a screenshot of a bank site shows an authority cue of a security seal, trust E. On the right is a screenshot of an actual profile completion notification on LinkedIn with a message that provides a kind of a bandwagon queue. Couple more examples here. On the left side is a privacy setting on Facebook, providing plenty of control to users as a way of triggering the control heuristic. On the right is a hypothetical interaction with a machine agent, Apple's Siri in this case, to cue the machine heuristic. After viewing each scenario, survey respondents were asked to indicate their willingness to disclose their personal information in the scenario, followed by questions about their reasons for disclosing or not disclosing it. We also asked all respondents about their general level of privacy concerns and tried to ascertain if they are power users. We also measured their demographics, such as age and gender. But most importantly, toward the end of the survey, we measured their cognitive accessibility of the 12 heuristics under consideration in the study. We wanted to find out the extent to which the rules of thumb pertaining to each heuristic was really applicable in the minds of each respondent. We assessed this by asking them to rate the degree to which they believed in each of the 12 heuristics as kind of general rules of thumb, heuristics like belief in authority, wisdom of the crowds, and so forth, that were relevant to one of the 12 scenarios. And as we found, their belief in a given heuristic predicted their willingness to disclose in a scenario featuring an interface cue designed to trigger that heuristic. You can see this in step 2 of the multiple regression in this table here. Belief in authority heuristic positively predicted disclosure in the authority scenario after controlling for demographics and other individual differences. This was true in all 6 scenarios pertaining to social contexts. In fact, this effect was significant in all 12 scenarios, thus supporting our main hypothesis. It was even true in the case of 2 heuristics that were negative in nature. Publicness is the rule of thumb, which says that it is not secure to manage personal business in public. Mobility heuristic is the rule of thumb that mobile devices are inherently unsafe for protecting one's privacy. And as you can see on the far right side of the regression output, they both negatively predict information disclosure. Just to break it down, if a person showed strong belief in the general statement about authority heuristic, that a popular name, brand, or organization can guarantee the security of a website, it means this heuristic is at the forefront of their mind, what we call cognitive accessibility. When such a person encounters a bank site featuring a cue to an authority, such as the trustee in this example, they're more likely to disclose personal information than a person who does not have such a strong belief in this authority heuristic. Similarly, individuals with a strong belief in following the crowd will disclose more when they see a cue to their bandwagon tendency than individuals with lesser belief in following the crowd. Similar results were found for all 12 scenarios. This provides support for the proposition that privacy decisions are shaped, at least in part, by cognitive heuristics triggered by cues in the interaction context. But cognitive heuristics are not the only reasons for disclosure, of course. Rationales based on heuristics are likely to be driven by specific cues in the interaction context, whereas other rationales may reveal other reasons, example, personal motivations or perceived norms that are not attributable to specific cues on the interface. So we examined both cue-related rationales for disclosure and non-cue-related rationales, and we found that 19 out of the 30 significant rationales pertained in some way to interface cues that we expected would trigger heuristics in our study. When we looked at the open-ended responses to questions about why they would or would not disclose in each of the 12 scenarios, we came across several that revealed the operation of the heuristic without us prompting. These are voluntary responses by our participants. To sum up, our data show that cognitive heuristics play a significant role in our online privacy disclosures. This has several theoretical implications. For example, it can explain why, despite claiming to be careful about privacy, a lot of online users disclose a lot of personal information online. They are probably making decisions on the fly, jerked into action by interface cues that prey on commonly accessible heuristics. Of course, cues and heuristics they trigger may not have the same effect on all sites. They probably compete with prior user experience in a given site, as we saw with some of the significant associations with non-cue related rationales for disclosure. And the reality of online spaces is that there are often multiple cues present, which may simultaneously trigger multiple heuristics that may compete with one another, which provides an exciting topic for future research. Next, we address the so what question. So what if cues trigger heuristics that lead to disclosure of private information? Our findings reveal that online users are less mindful when they make important privacy decisions, which means it's very important to induce some mindfulness into the process by serving a media literacy function, by calling for more just-in-time alerts, design of nudges that can protect private information, curtailing the queuing of heuristics even, and providing more opportunities for interactivity. Media literacy is a major design need. Online media users should become more aware of the fundamental discovery that they may be swayed in their decision-making by interface cues that prey upon commonly held beliefs. This can motivate the design of alerts in places where they're about to enter personal information by calling attention to the cue. Along the same lines, we could be nudged into protecting our personal information, or a more extreme design suggestion would be to remove the cue entirely so that we can eliminate the risk of it triggering a heuristic, as Instagram did recently by removing the number of likes in several countries. Finally, more can be done to encourage users' deliberate action on the interface. Research has shown that when users deliberately act, they are more mindful in their interaction, engaging with content in a more meaningful way. This can also prevent privacy heuristics from contributing to expedient decision-making in the heat of the moment and help online users protect their privacy. So that's a brief overview of our paper. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or comments.